Here's what I want to teach. You have to define or determine who you are before you ever get in a crisis. You can quit what you do, but you cannot quit who you are. I mean, if I walked off from this church today, my identity is not so wrapped up in being the pastor of this church that I'm going to lose my identity and forget who I am in God. If your circumstances changed and if you lose identity of who you are, then your identity was wrapped up in the wrong thing. You have to define before there is a crisis who you are, so that even if you lose everything you've got, everything that you've got, you know how to get it again, because you don't lose your identity. You do realize that this is not my first church. You do realize that. I was the pastor of another church. But when I left that church, my identity was not wrapped up in that church. My identity was wrapped up in God, and that's why when I left that church, I could build this one. Are you listening to me? Don't ever get your identity wrapped up in things and circumstances and in other two-legged human beings that are fickle, because they can walk out of your life and mess you up and leave you scratching your head wondering, who am I, and suicidal. Because you went through a crisis and you don't know who you are. You got to settle those questions so that if somebody starts questioning your integrity, you've already defined for yourself who you are. You're not defined by your bank account. The devil tries to mess with you so that you get your identity in your self-worth and not in your net worth and not in your self-worth. He wants to confuse your identity, because if he can get you to forget about who you are, he can get you to misbehave. If you lose sight of who you are, you will inevitably misbehave.